Secrets, if you really look at yourself, you would be speechless. What happened to being doctors and teachers? What happened to being your brother's keeper? Nowadays, kids more.
You're in the mix with the DJ always banging the real hip hop. DJ
BandClap. Lonely mother gazing out of a window, staring at a son that she just can't touch. If at any time he's in a jam, she'll be by his side, but he doesn't realize he hurts her so much. BandClap. But all the praying just ain't helping at all, 'cause he can't seem to keep himself out of trouble. So he goes out and he makes his money the best way he knows how. Another body laying cold in the gutter. Listen to me. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving.
Man, I promise. She's so self-conscious. She has no idea what she's doing in college. That major that she majored in don't make no money, but she won't drop out. Her parents will look at her funny. Now, tell me that ain't insecure. The concept of school seems so secure. Sophomore 3 years, ain't picked a career. She like, fuck it, I'll just stay down her and do hair, 'cause that's enough money to buy her a few pairs of new ears, 'cause her baby daddy don't really care. She's so precious with the peer pressure. Couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis. She had hair so long that it looked like weave. Then she cut it all off, now she look like Eve. And she be dealing with some issues that you can't believe. Single black feed, black feed, black feed, black.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast.
Come on. I seen a rainbow yesterday, but too many storms have come and gone, leaving a trace of not one God-given ray. Is it because my life is 10 shades of gray? I pray all 10 fade away, seldom praise him for the sunny days. And like his promise is true, only my faith can undo the many chances I blew to bring my life to a new clear blue and unconditional skies. Have dried the tears from my eyes, no more lonely cries. My only bleeding hope is for the folk who can't cope with such an enduring pain that it keeps them in the pouring rain. Who's to blame for tooting Cain into your own vein? What a shame, you shoot and aim for someone else's brain. You claim the insane and name this day and time for falling prey to crime. I say the system got you victim to your own mind. Dreams are hopeless aspirations and hopes are coming true. Believe in yourself, the rest is up to me and you.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast. Oh, you're moving too fast. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. I know that you're gonna have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast.
Come on.
You're in the mix with the DJ.
Live stream with your boy, Mr.BandClap. And as you can see on this screen right here, we're going to have a and I don't even want to call her a special guest. Like she's just soul family. Like she's just straight up soul family. I remember it was a similar live stream like this where she actually I think it was, what was it, Dra Wise? I think it was Dra Wise. He commented and he was like, yo, I would really like to interview you. And that was a few months ago. I was actually on Dra Wise's channel doing a Sunday service. I was doing a Sunday service on Dra Wise's channel. And since then, I've been wanting to interview D-Ray for a while now, but I just wanted to make sure that everything on my end was, everything on my end was on the up and up. So I had to do some trial and error, had to get some stuff situated to make sure that when I do bring D-Ray on, it will be a very smooth stream. Very smooth stream. So, as you can see in the title, we're going to be talking about what is relationship alchemy. What is relationship alchemy? And this is something that's important to me because it's funny. 2 weeks ago, I did and if y'all haven't been doing this already, I just want to let y'all know for the new people that's here that don't know anything about my channel. On my channel, BandClap, Mr.BandClap YouTube channel, I do a on point Orisha Tarot spread for the week. And it kind of lets you know what are some energies that you need to be looking out for. What are some things that you need to be looking out for through the week? And since I've been doing these, the predictions and the stuff that I've been predicting with these readings have been spot on. And not just in my life, but other soul family members who's hit me up in private. They're like, yo, man, like, I don't know why these OPOT videos don't get a lot of views, but, don't stop doing them because they are helping people. And I love to get, when I get those type of comments. So 2 weeks ago, I did a OPOT live spread. And, and another thing, I only pulled the first card of the row. So if you want to see the full spread, you have to join my Patreon, www.patreon.com/BandClapTV. And in this spread, I was talking about the soul family. We're going to be doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of very, very deep reflecting. And a lot of the readings that I've been doing for people these past couple weeks, it's been just that. It's been a lot of people coming to me with these readings, talking about the relationships that they were in, and if it was a karmic relationship or if it was a soulmate, or they got into a stage of awakening and they found out that the person that they're with, they may potentially have to leave that person because they're going to a higher stage of enlightenment, and the person that they're with are stifling them in some way. So there's been a lot of those types of conversations that I've been having with people. And even when it comes to a lot of people close to me and even myself, I've even had to look at a lot of my past relationships, and it's dope that we got D-Ray on here talking about relationship alchemy, because in my past relationship, I had to look back and see the things, see the alchemical changes that I went through in my personal life from my relationship. And it kind of started a couple days ago. I was able to, my enclosure came in the mail. So I was able to access this hard drive from an old laptop that I used to have years ago, many years ago. And I've always had the hard drive with me, but it was now that I was actually able to view the files. And a lot of the files, a lot of the pictures and the videos and stuff that I had was of me and my ex, because around that time that I had that laptop, me and her was together. And it's funny because me and my ex, we're still cool. We're still like really, really good friends. And I'm so glad that we didn't have a horrible breakup, like a real bad breakup or whatever, to where we was actually just laughing and joking. And we was looking at the pictures and stuff. And it was like a healing type of experience for me. The fact that I was able to laugh and I was able to joke around, you know, talking about the good times and stuff like that. And seeing how we've grown since then, you know, congratulations to her. She just went through her first year anniversary with her husband. And I'm very, very proud of her. You know, she's grown so much, and, you know, it's a joy to see. And me, since I've been on this journey, you know, spending time with myself and getting to know my inner child and all of these things in my spiritual journey, I've grown so much. Like, I look at the pictures that I look at the pictures of me back in 2015, you know, back in 2016, and it's like you can look in my eyes and see how lost I was. You know, even when it comes to just my age, I was a lot younger back then, but I look a lot younger now than I did back then. So just those little things alone just really, really, you know, it really opened up my eyes to some things. So without further ado, okay. So we got Sister D-Ray in the building. So I'm very excited about this, as you can see. Mm-hmm. And I just want you, and I know a lot of people here probably already know who you are and stuff like that, but I know I have a lot of soul family members who don't know who you are, and this may be their first time seeing you. Right. Okay. So I just want you right quick to just introduce yourself, you know, tell everybody who you are and what are the things that you do, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Well, again, what's up, family? My name is D-Ray. I am the wife and partner to Dra Wise. If y'all are not subscribed to his YouTube channel, I strongly suggest you do that if you want some science on spirituality and transformation, and if you want to see dope interviews with awesome spiritual people on our Sunday service, like Mr.BandClap was on at one point in time. My main focus in this spiritual work is really about dealing with self, but relationship alchemy is more so about understanding and analyzing the agreements that you've made with other people and how you can use those agreements to ascend and to transcend certain beliefs, certain emotions, certain habits. So that's my main focus. My main focus is looking at how I relate to others and the correspondences that I have with others, and teaching people how to do that same thing and how to use those relationships to figure out where your healing lies. So essentially, I'm a healer, and I show people how to do that through their relationships with other people.
When did you start on this spiritual journey of not only just relationship alchemy, but when did you realize that you had this certain gift in yourself, that that this was something that you wanted to do, and just kind of walk us through that process of how you went through your spiritual enlightenment?
Right. So I was definitely one of those people who have always had, you know, a connection with my intuition and discernment, and just have always been highly spiritual, even though I grew up in a religious household. But when I went to college, 2010, that's when it really started to click for me, where I really started to really tap in and recognize my strength and recognize the power of my mind. And a lot of those experiences, you know, some of them came through hardships, like, you know, being depressed and things of that nature. But in those experiences, that's how I found meditation, right? When I was in college, I was, just things weren't going the way that I wanted them to go, and my vibration was low. And I was, asking myself, okay, what do I do to come out of this space? How can I find myself again? And what I ended up finding was meditation. And so I really came into this thing straight off the rip, going within, not off the YouTube, not from books or anything like that. I literally came into spirituality through meditating, because I did research, and it was like, hey, if you having crazy thoughts, if your emotions aren't right, meditate. And so I literally became like a meditation guru, where I would meditate every day. Every day for months and months and months on end. And the more I meditated, the more, different gifts and talents just turned on. And I was able to make the connection from some of my past experiences, some of my childhood experiences that were really preparing me to be who I am today. So as far as relationship alchemy goes, I've always been relatable. I've always been a person who could talk to anybody and build a relationship with anybody and help anybody to grow and help anybody to heal. But I didn't come into that full knowing and understanding until I got into a serious meditation practice. And so that's really how I got here. So I'm a firm believer that if you want to change an aspect of your thinking, if you want to grow in spirituality, you have to go within yourself. You have to silence your mind, and you have to create space between your thoughts. And that was my work. That's how I got here today.
Now, it's one thing that you said that's very, very important. And it's a key when it comes to meditation, and that is to silence your mind. Mm-hmm. Now, I've kind of heard conflicting things about that, because I've heard what you were saying when it comes to silencing your mind and stuff like that. But then I know people like Brother Panic talks about letting that voice in your head go roam free. Let that roam free, and a lot of times we think that we have to silence that, when a lot of times that chatter that we hear in our head, sometimes those are even your ancestors trying to communicate with you as well.
For sure, but you have to have a certain level of discernment and intuition and connectivity to be able to do that. So when a person is just now getting into spirituality, like, your main goal wants to be, okay, how can I silence this ego? Because that's what a lot of these thoughts, conscious mind running reckless is, just in all honesty. Now, I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. And if you're just now breaking through into this spiritual game, you're actually trying to quiet the mind. You're trying to quiet that chatter, because if you can't quiet the chatter, then you cannot hear your own divine voice. You know what I mean? Like, our intuition sounds different than how our ego sounds and how our ancestors sound. But if you haven't done any meditation up until then, you don't know if you're talking to an ancestor. You don't know if you are hearing the thoughts of your next door neighbor. You don't know if it's intuition. You don't know. So you practice meditation, one, so that you can get to hear and understand what your spiritual voice, what your higher self actually sounds like. Then once you know how your spirit sounds, how you actually communicate to you, then you can be more open to, okay, I'm going to go into this meditation and I'm going to let the chatter flow. I've done that type of meditation before as well. But again, you first need to know how your higher self communicates with you, so that when you're not meditating and you're in your everyday life, you are actually listening to your intuition and you're following your spiritual guidance.
And you said something very key there. You was talking about silencing the ego.
Yes.
And that's another thing, because I know with me, when I first started on this spiritual journey myself, that was one of the first aspects of shadow work that I had to do. Because like they say, your ego at the end of the day, it tries to protect you.
Yes, very true.
Because it wants to keep living and stuff like that. And when you deal with these forms of spirituality that deals with going into the underworld, you know, to find yourself, all of these things that kind of represent death.
Yes.
And it's something that your ego doesn't understand because it's beyond your ego. So it gets to a point to where, especially if you know, you're somebody who came from religion and you're coming into spirituality, you know, somebody like how I was, you know, when it comes to that, with me, that was one of the hardest things, because in this programming that we've all been through some type of programming, some type of indoctrination. You know, if you went through public school, if you went through, you know, even college, like all of these things it has nothing to do with your spirituality at all. And in a lot of times when we go through our lives, and we always looked at spirituality as something bad, or we looked at it as evil, or it's witchcraft or something like that. One of the main things that I had to do in going in meditation and quieting that ego, and it protected me. It kind of protected me when I was on that side, you know. But when I went into that darkness, so I can find myself in my meditation, I would kind of get these thoughts like, are you really talking to that? You know, what are you really doing? Like, you know, you need to just cut this out. Like, you ain't doing nothing. Like, you know, and it's kind of one of those things to where you kind of gotta just kind of dive in and kind of rush in, because if you're kind of like, oh, you know, kind of on the fence, and you're like, oh, you know, it's easy.
You won't do it. You won't do it. You're gonna back out.
And I remember my first real meditative experience, and I know Bobby Hemmett, he talks about this all the time, about anger. You know, it's something that happens in your body when you get angry. And even in American Gods, the Anansi character who represented Papa Legba, he was even talking about that. He was like, when you get angry, you know, miraculously, sometimes that's when shit gets done, when you're angry. And I remember I had all these people around me, and they was like, yeah, you know, I was meditating, I did this, I did that, you know. And you know, when you first start meditating, weird things happen. Like you try to meditate, and then you get these itches, and you try your best not to scratch and stuff like that. Or if it doesn't happen, if something miraculous doesn't happen at a certain length of time, you start to feel like, oh, maybe this isn't for me, or something like that. And I know with me, I remember I was in the tub, and I closed my eyes, and I had a candle. Like I was trying to do everything that, you know, I was seeing everybody else do. And I remember I closed my eyes, and I was real angry, because I was like, yo, like, I want to see something. I want to see something. And all of a sudden, it was like I saw this visage, kind of like a visage of a man, you know, and it was like it was coming out of a portal. And man, it scared me to death. I was like, oh, what was that? And when I talked to my soul family about it back then, they was like, yo, like, you know, that means that you're really tapping in. You're really tapping in. So, what was that process for you when you first started into that meditative experience, and how did you you know, what was your process to quiet that ego inside of you? And did you find some type of system that worked for you that now, you know, since you're a little bit more advanced, you're just able to just tap right in and just do what you need to do?
Facts. Yeah, so definitely consistency is key. I also have to have the right sounds, the right music that help me to relax. The ego, and this is not a bad thing all the time, but it's something that we have to be aware of, and that is that the ego doesn't want you to change. Because the ego is like, you're still alive, you're breathing, you're well, or really, I'm breathing, I'm well, I am here. And so the ego is like, you don't need to meditate, you don't need to visualize, you don't need to exercise, because you're fine, you're breathing, you're living. So when you are trying to break through and tap into something new, the best thing that you can do for yourself is just to consistently do it. Because then the message, your ego receives the message like, oh, okay, they're bypassing me. They really want to do this. Okay, I'm going to surrender to this process, right? I'm going to go ahead and surrender and see, you know, where this actually leads us. So the consistency is key, having a consistent practice with it, even if it's only meditating for 5 minutes a day and increasing it. That's what I would do. When I first started meditating, I would meditate for 5 minutes every day for 1 week. The next week I would meditate for 7 minutes every day for that week. Then I would go up 9 minutes and so on and so forth. And it got to a point where it was 30 minutes and an hour. And it's just such a great feeling once you do reach that alpha state to where it is like, you know what? I really like this. I like this feeling. I like all the things that come from it. When I had graduated from college and became, and my meditation practice was really, you know, on point, I had manifested so much stuff so quickly. You know what I mean? And again, that's because I was able to know the difference between my intuition and my ego. I was able to know that difference. And because I can hear the difference in how my spirit communicates with me, now I can make the right decisions that are going to lead me to where I actually want to go. And so consistency in the practice, it's the same thing as you want to, you know, if you want to be a great basketball player, a great volleyball player, a great actor, shout out to Kobe Bryant, Nipsey Hussle, Chadwick Boseman, shout out to those people, because it takes practice. And I think meditation is something that a lot of people don't want to practice. They want to just go in and think that their mind is going to be silent and they're going to see spirits and they're going to get all of this information, but it really doesn't work like that. It works the same way as everything else. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And when you do it, you don't want to judge yourself in it. And that's what I had to learn. I had to stop judging, oh, that was a good meditation session. Oh, that was not a good meditation session. I had to stop doing that, because when you do that, you put limitations on what you can experience when you go in.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And you definitely hit a lot of points there. Because I know with me, when it came to that, there was definitely a lot of expectations.
Right.
Especially when, like you said, with you just went straight within, you know, you didn't watch any videos or you didn't do anything.
I didn't start watching videos for a long time. I was meditating for, you know, I didn't start watching the Bobby Hemmitt's and Brother Panics and all of that stuff like that until after I started meditating. Yeah. Sometimes it's backwards for people. Sometimes people come into the science and they hear Brother Panic or Bobby Hemmitt or one of the spiritual teachers say, okay, you need to meditate. And then they start meditating. I started meditating without even knowing anybody from the spiritual community, really.
And then I know one thing that I've noticed about me and a lot of my soul family as well. There's a lot of things that we used to do even in our childhood. there was a lot of things that we used to do in our childhood that we never knew. You know, we didn't know that it was a definition to it. You know, we didn't know that it was a process. Like, we didn't know.
Right.
We just did it.
Right.
And one of those things for me was astral projection, and soul traveling and lucid dreaming. So I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
Until I started, you know, kind of telling people that I was doing it, you know, when I got older, and people just looking at me like weird, like, oh, like, that is a rare gift to be able to astral travel at will and do this stuff. Like, that's a gift. Like, yo, like, you're just, and I'm like, huh? Like, real? Because I know, like I always said, I know I've said this a lot of times, but when I was a child, I had eczema really, really bad. To the point where I would literally scratch myself to death while I was in my sleep. I would have these rashes all over my skin and stuff like that. So for me to be able to go to sleep, I was on, well, what y'all call now as lean, you know, but it was a more, what you call it? Not off-brand, but generic. Yeah. It was a generic form of lean that I was on. And I've been on that, you know, I was on that since I was like 7 years old. And I remember, you know, even when I was a kid, like, it got my itching, you know, it got so bad that sometimes I would just have the bottle under my pillow and I would just take a little swig and go to sleep. And my skin would be so irritated that when I would go into the dream state, I wouldn't even know that I was actually asleep. And sometimes, you know, I remember I used to wake up and I would walk around my house, and then I would go in my room and I would see myself laying on the bed. And I remember the first time that happened, it was super scary, you know. But, you know, me being the curious person that I am, you know, I started to see, okay, you know, let me see how far can I go away from my body before I wake up. And it was a very, very, you know, crazy experience, but it taught me a lot. You know, it really taught me a lot. And one thing that I noticed, even when we talk about meditation or astral traveling or any of these type of things, everybody has their own method. You know, the best rituals, the best spells, or the best methods are the ones you make yourself. You know, because your higher self knows, you know, what you need to do to find your higher self.
Yes.
You know, so even when you think you're coming up with these methods on your own, it's really not. It's really your higher self telling you, putting that thought in your mind, like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And I know when it comes to me personally, with me being a Gemini, I have to do things to kind of trick my mind into going into that. So when it came to me, especially like doing stuff like writing songs and stuff like that, I would write the best songs and make the best music when I was working. And the reason why is because I'm able to, you know, it's like I'm working and I'm able to put myself on autopilot. So I'm here and I'm working and my conscious mind is focused on work, but I'm really not here because in my subconscious mind, I'm over here in the spirit world making a song or doing whatever, you know, to the point where, you know, I would almost, you know, be moving like a android or like a robot, you know, because I'll be so in a trance, you know, with the music that I was making and stuff like that. And I know, you know, when I was in college, that used to be an issue for me because it was real hard for me to pay attention in class because it's like I would be listening to the teacher and taking notes, but my mind would be somewhere else making a song, you know, like that. And then when I got older and I started channeling for the first time. And this was like a few years ago, probably like 2018, you know, around the time that I did the Akasha, around the time I did the Akasha series about Aaliyah. And that was one of the most eye-opening experiences on how far you can take that, the whole thing about tricking your mind into you doing one thing over here and letting your subconscious mind flow over here. Mm-hmm. And with a lot of people, and that's why music is so important, because like they say, we live in a universe, one verse, one song. Mm-hmm. You know? And I talked about this in the Michael Jackson Chronicles when I was saying that with Michael Jackson's music and with a lot of the ancestors that's passed on, their music already takes you into a whole nother dimension, you know, when you're listening to it. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've, because I love experimenting with stuff like audio, and I fell in love with things like binaural beats and meditation music and all of those type of things, where it can have my mind on one thing, and then subconsciously I can go and do what I need to do. And like you were saying, you know, when you meditate and when you're doing these things, it takes a lot of faith. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it takes a lot of faith, and it takes a righteous and almost like a pure heart, you know, for you to be able to channel and stuff like that. And I know that that's something that you do as well. Mm-hmm. And what would you say was your first reaction? Like what would you say was your first channeling experience? And how did it come about? And you know, what was the result? Like, how did it make you feel, the fact that you was able to do this? Because it's kind of something that, you know, if you just say it out loud, you know, people would automatically be like, oh, you're lying.
Yeah, I think what we have to understand is that everything is energy and everything is alignment. Mm-hmm. So everything is energy and everything is alignment. And we've been channeling and downloading information for forever. We just didn't have a name or a title for it. When you could also say channeling is hearing from your intuition. So when you receive a message and you follow that message, that's a channel, that's a download, that's information. And so, like I said, I've always been able to do that. What's one of my first experiences of channeling? Well, you know what, I'll tell you a story about what just happened today that was supernatural. And you know, it's not really channeling, but definitely making connections with spirits. So I have a special connection with Lisa Left Eye Lopez, which is when you played that Left Eye, when you played that TLC, I was like, okay, you know what, that's good. That's love, because that's a girl. She's one of my spirit guides, actually. Ooh. And so I purchased a TLC shirt from Marshall's about 3-4 days ago, and I wore that shirt yesterday on our little mini family getaway. I wore that shirt, and I got it, you know, just being like, oh, it got Lisa Left Eye on it, I have to get it, you know, there's no way around it, I'm getting it. So I got it, no thought. First of all, that's intuition, that's spirit. It can come in some of the most subtle ways. I feel like a lot of times we want things to be so big, so miraculous, when it's really so subtle, because this is all a part of you naturally. So it was natural to me to see the shirt and automatically know that I was going to buy it. But that's also communication with my spirit, with my higher self, and with my spirit team. Anyways, I buy the shirt, we go to Galveston, we have us a great day. Today we do Sunday service. Yellow is literally my favorite color. That's that ocean energy. Lisa Left Eye is another form of Oshun as well. And so we're doing Sunday service today, and I see a girl that I went to high school with. And I have not seen this girl in years, haven't talked to her in years. And I so, what we may call randomly or coincidentally, I see her. And I'm like, Spirit, okay, why am I seeing her right now? Why am I seeing her right now? And I can't necessarily put too much energy into it at that moment because we're live on Sunday service and I have to focus on that. And so when we were done with the show, I'm talking to Dream about it. And I'm like, babe, I saw a girl that I went to high school with. We are in a totally different city. We're not even where we live, where we grew up at. I see her in a totally different city. She's right in front of me. That's crazy. And he's asking me questions. He's like, well, what does she mean to you? I'm like, well, she doesn't really mean much to me. We didn't have a relationship like that, so on and so forth. And then he said, I think he said, well, what does she look like? And it's so funny because it just hit me. I was like, actually, she has a birthmark over her eye. And he was like, what eye? I closed my eyes and I visualized her and I said, oh shit, it's Lisa Left Eye. The girl that I saw today, her birthmark is over her eye. And so literally the words coming out of my mouth, left eye, the birthmark is over her left eye, was confirmation that Lisa Left Eye's energy is with me. You know what I mean? So you can say that that's channeling. You can say that that is, you know, things of that nature. But really what it is just energy and a connection. Like you're not going to channel any information unless you have a connection to that energy or to that entity that you are trying to hear from. And so whenever it comes to channeling and whenever it comes to connecting, it's all about vibration. If you can find the light vibration, if you can find some level of connection with these energies. And so that's basically what I do. I put myself in the right vibration to be able to hear from spirit, to be able to hear from my own intuition, and to be able to hear from these energies who would like to communicate with me. So, you know, that's really my whole thing about that. I want you to go ahead and ask me a question about relationships because I got to get out of here. It's almost 10 o'clock over here, and I got to help Dream get our kids to bed, and we're gonna, you know, try to get out on the town tonight. But I'm glad to be here. Ask me a question on relationships so I can let the people know something about some relationship alchemy. Okay,
definitely. So when it comes to relationships and relationship alchemy, there's these terms that you hear a lot.
Okay.
And you got the term soulmate, twin flame, and karmic partner, or karmic relationships.
Yes.
Now, I have my own meaning when it comes to these. But I know that they go hand in hand when we're talking about this stuff. Because like I said, in my life, I realized that my recent ex was not only a soulmate of mine, but it was a karmic relationship, and it needed to happen because that relationship put me back in line with who I really am as a person and why I chose to come back here.
Beautiful.
And I know in a lot of situations, we have these karmic relationships, and sometimes they end very badly. There's a lot of pain. A lot of times these relationships put you in the dark night of the soul a lot of times. And if you could cut the cord to that, you would easily try to find somebody to cut that cord because it's a lot of pain that goes with that. But I know in my particular situation, Spirit told me very sternly, no, do not cut that cord. Do not cut it. And then I found out years later that if I would have cut that cord to our relationship, everything that relationship taught me, you know, all of that stuff would have been cut along with it.
That's deep.
So, in your own words, what what is your definition of soulmates, twin flames, karmic relationships, and do you believe do you believe in cord cutting, and do you believe that it's a situation that that could warrant a cord cutting?
Yeah, so you said a lot, and I'm gonna do my best to give it to the family as quickly and as precisely as possible. First, starting off with the soulmate / twin flame relationship. What I actually want to say first is that you have to, I could say all of this stuff to you, but if you don't apply anything, if you don't analyze and look at your own life, it doesn't even matter. It is all about your perception and how you perceive your relationship and how you learn and how you grow from your relationship. And that's in everything that you do in spirituality. Like, this is your path, and people like me, people like Dra Wise, people like you, people like Mook, people like Miyoshi, we are just, reflections of what is possible within you. So let's just say that thing first. And that's the essence of relationships. All relationships are reflections of you. All relationships are mirrors, and all relationships are giving you an opportunity to transform, to heal, to do alchemy on yourself so that you can release certain thoughts, certain beliefs, certain emotions, so that you can go to higher levels of consciousness. That's what relationships are about. So when we're talking about a soulmate relationship, we're talking about a relationship where someone helps you to realize and to connect with your soul on a deeper level. Okay, that would be a relationship like Dream and I. On another layer to a soulmate relationship is that they hold space for you to heal. So a lot of people are in relationships where they know that there's work to be done, but the person who they're relating to does not hold space for them to do the work. They expect them to be somewhere where they're not ready to be. They want a person to change instead of assisting a person as they evolve on their own time by their own will, okay? So a soulmate relationship is one where a person assists you in connecting with your soul, and they are there and they love you as you go through the process and as you transform, as you change. That's a soulmate. A karmic, in a soulmate relationship, it goes both ways. It's not a one-way street. So I help Dream to recognize himself at the soul level, on a deeper level, and as he is transforming and healing, I allow him to do that. I love him through that. Okay, just to throw in a twin flame relationship. A twin flame is all of that as well. But what I like to add about a twin flame relationship is that twin flame relationships allow you to burn off a lot of karmic energy. And I say that because twin flame, if we think of a flame, we think about fire. Okay, we think about fire, and fire is a creative force. Like with fire, we can make food. With fire, we can burn something down. So in your twin flame relationships, it really can go either way, but ultimately the energy is about burning off certain concepts, certain beliefs, certain understandings that you have to release in order for you to get to higher levels of consciousness. Okay, there's a whole bunch of there's a cosmic purpose within twin flame relationships, meaning in your relationship, you and your partner, whether you are together or not, let's make that clear as well. Twin flame relationships does not have to be an intimate relationship between a man and a woman. Mm-hmm. A twin flame relationship can be a mother and a son, a brother and a sister, a grandma and a granddaughter. It can be anything. But through that relationship, they cause a cosmic shift, a cosmic conscious shift. So what Dream and I are doing right now affects the consciousness of people worldwide. Our relationship is cosmic, it's transformative, and it is ultimately helping to raise the vibration of people, to raise the consciousness of people. So that's something to look out for in twin flame relationships. Lastly is the karmic relationship, and this relationship it's not meant to last. It's not meant to be a long-standing relationship. It's meant for you to learn a lesson, to transmute a belief, to transmute some emotions, to transform a thought. And karmic relationships manifest not only just from certain beliefs that you have in this life that may not be of the highest vibration, but you can also manifest a karmic relationship based off of your past lives. For example, I manifested the parents that I have because in a past life, I dealt with abandonment issues. So in this life, I chose my parents to be a karmic relationship so that I can feel that abandonment yet again, but I can transform it through higher levels of consciousness. So that's why I chose them. And so when we're in a karmic relationship, it's so important to not play the blame game. It's so important not to point fingers. The main idea is to reflect on what the person is showing you. What are you showing me about myself? How are you making me feel? How am I making you feel? Okay, what is the lesson? What is the blessing in this tumultuous experience? And when you get it, and you really get it at the soul level, you don't have to, recreate that experience. But a lot of times people aren't really getting it, and you end up being in a relationship with the same person energetically, they just got a different face. They have a different face. The person looks different, they got a different name, they may be a different age, they may be from a different city, but energetically, they're still gonna teach you the same thing from that last relationship that you were in. Why? Because you are blaming that other person for the trauma, for the heartache, for the depression, for the disappointment. And the point is for you to analyze the role that you played and the role that you, and why you manifested this specific relationship. That's the point of the karmic relationship, because when you do that and you do the work and you transform how you think, you raise your vibration. So that's one less thing that you have to carry with you from lifetime to lifetime. You vibrate faster.
Definitely.
Did that explain it all for you?
I really feel like it did. That was super deep.
Mm-hmm.
That was deep. And with you saying that, it kind of puts me in the mind frame of it's not healthy to cut those cords.
I forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, simply because of the pain and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't get the wisdom from that, and you don't learn from that, then yeah, you're gonna cut the cord, but you're just gonna end up in a Groundhog Day situation where you end up finding yourself in the same relationship, in the same type of energetic karmic situation until you learn the lesson. And do you agree with that?
Well, there's different. We all have a cord connected to us, to everybody that we interact and deal with, period. I got a cord connected to you because we're sitting right here doing what we're doing. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. So again, a lot of times when we think about cord cutting, we're still in the mentality that another person outside of us is affecting us. Another person outside of us is controlling our experience. They're pulling on us, they're draining us, they're doing all of these different things. And they may be doing that, but why are you open and receptive to it? Okay? And like you said, most of the time it's because you haven't really healed, transformed, and transmuted the energy that actually manifested that relationship between you and another person. So as far as cord cutting goes, I know people do it. I haven't really put a lot of mental energy into it, but the biggest thing that I can say is that forgiveness is going to be the biggest blessing for everybody in this space and time and forever. Forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. Again, we got to get out of blame. We got to get out of they did that and they're pulling on me and so on and so forth. You got to get to the point where you say, okay, why did I attract this? And why is this still affecting me to this day? What am I not releasing? Okay. What am I not understanding about myself? So when a person gets very introspective, and when a person can release the fear, the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, the rejection, when a person can release those emotions, the attachment, right? The attachment to that person for whatever reason is also going to release. So it's all about you having control over your energy, you having control over your emotions, you having control over your thoughts, your being. When you do your internal work and you do it deep enough and you get down to the root of the issue, all of the people who are no longer in alignment with you, because if you're vibrating high, a low vibrational person cannot really attach to you.
Exactly.
They only attach to you when you go into that same low vibrational space. Okay? So a lot of times you come out of a relationship and you're like, oh, I'm gonna cut this cord with this person because I'm just trying to be done with them and get them out of my life, so on and so forth. That's not how this thing really works. What really needs to happen is you need to one, ask yourself, why was I in this relationship? What did this relationship serve to teach me? What did I teach this person? What am I learning? Where's the blessing in this experience? Then after you ask that question, whatever answers you get, you live with that and you accept that. And then you forgive. You forgive as often as you can. You release as often as you can. And you live your life from a different perspective. You live your life from a different point of view. Just live your life differently. And now the energy of that person can no longer affect you. The cords are going to fall off on themselves because you're vibrating too fast. But I gotta get out of here. Go ahead. You got one more question, then I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. I know. I'm not gonna hold you long. This is my last question. And,
okay.
And like I say, I appreciate you for even taking this interview with me.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Soul family is happy that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Last question.
Sure.
And you kind of touched on this earlier about how important is shadow work when it comes to this relationship alchemy, and is shadow work something that you can do with your partner in the relationship?
Mm-hmm. Well, shadow work is very important, and whether you are consciously doing the work or not is definitely affecting your relationship, because a lot of people in relationships are relating shadow to shadow. Okay, a lot of people are not even relating to a person in their very essence. A lot of people's traumas are dating. Okay, your trauma looks similar to my trauma. I can put a Band-Aid on your scars, you can put a Band-Aid on my scars. So a lot of people are relating in that way. So that's the very first thing, okay? That's the very first thing. But yeah, shadow work can definitely be done. Shadow work is definitely important because, like I said, if you don't deal with yourself, because your shadow is a part of you, if you don't deal with yourself, you're going to continue to manifest the same unhealthy relationships. So again, that's why the type of relationship you are in is so important, because what happens in karmic relationships is essentially both persons' shadow selves come up and come out and they go at it and they don't do the work to heal. And they're like, okay, your shadow is too much for me, my shadow is too much for you, this relationship is not gonna work. And you end up breaking up and it ends up being very hard, very painful. But in that moment is when you're supposed to look at your shadow and say, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why did this relationship happen? Most of the time, your shadow self is like, well, I really just needed to be loved. I really just needed some attention. I was really just feeling neglected, abandoned, rejected. So all of those emotions like that, okay? So, but when you're in a soulmate relationship, the shadow self is actually able to rise. Like Dream has, met aspects of myself that I'm not necessarily proud of, and vice versa. But because our relationship is built upon helping each other to recognize who we divinely are, he gives me space in order to do that work, and I give him space in order to do that work. Meaning, when that shadow side of me comes up again, he's not going to judge me and say something like, you said you was going to work on that. You said you weren't going to do that no more. You said you were going to let that go. No, he doesn't do that. We have the discussion and we move through it, you know, and then vice versa. So we hold space for one another. We forgive one another quickly. We let it go quickly, but and then not only that, I'm able to say, okay, you know what, my 6-year-old, 7-year-old self came up, and that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, right? He's not going to say, okay, you need to grow up. You know what I mean? He's not going to say that. It's just going to be, okay, it is what it is. We keep on doing this work. All right, let's let it go. So shadow work is very important, because if you are not in a relationship to where you're able to work through it, you're just going to end up breaking up. It's really that simple. And that's why a relationship is karmic, because there's a belief, there's a thought, there's a feeling, there's an energy, right? There's a way that you perceive the world that needs to be raised to a higher vibration. There's a way that you perceive yourself. There's a way that you see yourself. There's a way that you see your experiences that need to be raised to a higher vibration. But you won't know that unless you feel the low vibration, unless you feel the fear, unless you feel the anger, unless you feel the sadness, the neglect. If you don't feel that, you don't know that there's a greater place for you to go. So having those experiences and being triggered is really a blessing in disguise. And when we start to see it in that way, especially in relationships, disagreements are good, right? Disagreements are great when you love one another, when you love yourself. When you start to see it in that way, you actually are at the start of really healing and transforming. But the more you get upset, the more you feel some type of way about being triggered, the more you're causing greater resistance to your healing and to your transformation. And that manifests in relationships as well.
Cool. Well, like I said, I appreciate you, Sister D-Ray, for coming on and for taking this at such a late notice. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, I just want you to tell everybody, what is your social media handles, if you provide any services or anything like that, and where can we find you?
Yes, definitely. So I'm going to put my YouTube in the chat. I'm going to just say what's up in the chat right now. Y'all go ahead and subscribe. Divine Relationship Alchemy. You can get healing consultations, relationship coaching, things of that nature on my website, www.relationshipalchemy.org. That's where you can get my services. Instagram, Divine Relationship Alchemy. I have 2 Instagram pages, Divine Relationship Alchemy and Womb Alchemy. Womb Alchemy, we didn't even get to get there, we'll plan that for another time.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you back. Definitely gonna bring you back, because I really wanted to get into that too.
Right. So yeah, Divine Relationship Alchemy. That's where you can find my YouTube page. On my YouTube page, you'll find my email. You'll find the website. You'll find all of that great information for us to tap in and work with one another. But yeah, I love what I do, and just, hit me up. I'm open for the conversation when it comes down to healing yourself, and then obviously when it comes down to healing your relationship.
Cool. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. And
bet. You enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, you too, love.
Peace.
Hey, so what did y'all think about that? She was dropping some bars, wasn't she? Woo! She was dropping some heat. And that's the reason why I really like to have people like D-Ray, people like Tori Indigo, people like Heat Jordan, and people like Star Tarot, on my platform. And because when we talk about these type of spiritual topics and stuff like that, I really like to keep the energy high and stuff like that, because the stuff that she was saying and she's very, very advanced in the stuff that she does. It's extremely, extremely important because a lot of us right now, we're going through a evolutionary shift. We're all going through a evolutionary shift right now. And it's time for us to reflect, because in this new shift that's going on as we speak, we gotta be on the top of our game. We gotta be on the top of our game, and there's gonna be a lot of people that are going into this shadow work and going into these dark nights of the soul all around the world. And the soul family that's supposed to be teachers and healers and those types of professions, we're about to be in very, very high demand. So the swamp is draining. Everybody who's doing this, and they just doing it just for the money. They not really, about that life when it comes to healing and stuff like that. As you can see, the people who can't take the heat, they're getting kicked out the kitchen. So these types of talks and these types of conversations that we're having is very, very important. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Queen Left's Universe said that was a lot and it came at the right time for me. That's dope. Let me see. Tammy Blunt said, what was the name of the movie you mentioned earlier with Allegua? You said there was a movie that I mentioned Allegua? I don't remember. It's like my mind is just spinning right now. Like D Ray was spitting that heat. She was spitting that heat. I'm just over here trying to recollect myself. Illumination Station. I believe he was. Oh yeah, American Gods. Yeah, Papa Legba. There was this scene on American Gods where Anansi, which is another form of Papa Legba, and Anansi, he was just pretty much talking about how we as melanated people have been brainwashed by the powers that be and how they did it and all of that. And I remember at the last part of the clip, he was talking about when you get angry, that's when shit really, really gets done. When you get angry. And like Bobby Hemmett say, not the emotional anger, not that emotional anger that you want somebody outside of yourself to save you and all of that type of stuff. Nah, like we're talking about real anger, and I've told this story a couple times, but a situation that happened to me, I was at my college, I was at Full Sail, and this was a couple years ago. I was supposed to have been DJing at this event at the Hall of Fame, and I had to go through a whole lot of BS, a lot of red tape in order to get my spot. And because you had to be a part of a certain club in order to be able to DJ at the Hall of Fame. So I had to go through a lot just to get this spot. And when it was finally my turn to go up, and I remember it was super hot outside. When it was my turn to go up, they kind of pulled a fast one on me, and they had this dude up there, and he pretty much stole my spot. And the dude was like, yeah, he's a part of the club, so you're just shit out of luck, all of this stuff. And it pissed me off so freaking bad because this was before I had a car. So I literally rode my bike all the way back to my apartment complex, went and got my turntables, all of this stuff, turntables that wasn't even mine. I had to pay my homeboy to use them. So I went through a lot just so I can prepare and get ready for this particular set. And I remember I just got so mad. I got so mad because I felt like I got played. I felt like I got betrayed. Like, I was just so angry. I looked up at the sky. I kid you not. I looked up at the sky and I called on Shango.
Drama comes in dozens and I know you love it. A rose is still a rose, so I rose above it. The more that they see the woman got a mind of her own, the less that they want a part of my throne to give it. But the more they compare me to the ones they could own, they know they never should have left me alone. I'm bigger, I'm with that money gang and my G's is up. Treat me like